welcome back to another episode of The Hot Seat. I'm your host, Marie Weiss, and I am beyond the moon excited about my guest today, Cecilia Flombaum. Cecilia is the partner lead business and industry solutions at Microsoft and a board member of the executive engagement at Diversity and Dynamics. She is a seasoned technology leader with over 2 decades of experience with Microsoft. She builds great partnerships, and she has been a woman I have long admired in the channel. I love her leadership. I love how she shows up. And it is a particular pleasure to invite her to the show today. Thanks for being here, Cecilia.
My pleasure. I will always show up for you, that's for sure.
I always have such a great experience when I get to see you at events. You have such a great way of presenting. I love the way you bring people into the community. And I just want to jump right in and get started. I'm so glad you've agreed to be in the hot seat. I obviously have been out and about talking to Microsoft partners. There's so much change happening right now in the channel and in the ecosystem. What is the biggest change you're seeing? What is the thing that you're seeing as a big change, but also that you're most excited about?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm excited about breaking silos. I think that the reinvention that's happening in my world anyway, CRM and ERP, these applications that existed for multiple decades, and we've gotten used to it and adapted to these little houses with doors and some windows sometimes where we can go from one to the next. But now, like, we get to really question all of these doors and all of these walls because the the compute power, the amount of data, the cloud, and this new ability to reason over that data is actually making us question these old paradigms of business applications. And so that opens up a world of ideas and thoughts and possibilities. And that's, I guess, what I'm most excited about.
I think that's an amazing observation. And being somebody who's been in the tech sector for 30 years, but specifically on the sales and marketing side, and then, lately more on the marketing side, we've always been sort of kept in a box for a variety of reasons. The marketing team has always been kept in a box. And this idea of, I don't want to call it flattening the organization, but I think to a certain extent it is that. And when you say breaking down these silos, of really and starting to look at where's the data that we need as a business unit to be successful, and also where's the data that we need to try to do some new things with AI. What do you think is causing this? I can sort of guess, but I'd love to hear from in your opinion, what's causing this to happen? Because these silos have existed for a long time. So what is the big change that you're seeing that's causing the breakdown of the silo to occur?
The ability for AI and the AI that we've seen before generative AI, like the AI that from machine learning, it's like an evolution, right? But this step change that we've made now, which also touches the way users interact with applications, and it allows us to start automating routine processes, things that get done over and over in the same way. And that takes us to a redefinition of the role of people, is forcing us to ground ourselves on a very simple concept. What's the job that needs to get done? Doesn't matter which application does it, doesn't matter where it needs to get done, who needs to do it. What's the job that needs to get done? If you center yourself there, then you work your way back and say, well, what parts of getting that job done can be automated because they're always the same, and what parts the humans play a critical role because they need to approve, verify, correct. And so you're redefining what you need to get the job done. And especially, I mean, let's pick on marketing. I can pick on sales. Our marketers, our sellers, use email, use Excel, and they get to use these other tools that existed for these decades, right? These other tools we call CRM or marketing automation tools. But the truth is, we forced everybody to jump from one app to the next to get their jobs done.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
what's being questioned, because now
Mhm.
AI connects data from multiple
Mhm.
places, reasons over that data, and allows us to say, can I do step one, step two, step three, step four? Doesn't matter where, but can I just do that without
Mhm.
jumping around, without entering, looking for the information 20 times, entering the same information 20 times? And yes, the answer is yes.
I love that. And, I've been working with some partners recently, one in particular who believes that AI is a psychological mind change more than a technology one. And I think you're identifying that and calling it out a little bit because it it's I know for myself personally, I always think, well, this is the way we always used to do it. This is the way it always got done. And now you're shifting your mind to think, wait a minute, I don't have to do that anymore. I don't have to wait to see, uh, you know, simple thing of putting AI onto a website as an example and being able to populate a content library and being able to pull what do you mean I don't have to spend 6 to 12 months redoing all this content? That's a psychological mind shift. And at first there's a little bit of fear, and I think there has been some fear about what does this mean? Is it taking my job? How do I look at this? But once you actually get in and start doing it and you realize that the possibilities are endless, it becomes quite amazing, and it's a psychological shift in how you think. Would you agree with that? Is that sort of what you see happening as well?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've seen it. I force myself to present to customers here in the Microsoft campus pretty often, because I want to see what the CEOs and CIOs and line of business leaders actually tell me. How do they react to the business application storytelling, with our
Mhm.
vision and where we're going? And it's been so interesting to see that mentality, like this reaction, evolve
Mhm.
into a, yeah, that's your new flashy thing, Microsoft, but tell me about the application.
Right.
To now is, what can we automate and when?
Mhm.
And so we've gone through, yeah, skepticism, fear, but also
Mhm.
skepticism about what AI can actually do. And that's those are the right feelings, and especially skepticism, because honestly, we still have so much work to do on proving the value of these agents or automation or AI in true business metrics, right? Like, we
Right.
need to prove the value, and that's what CEOs are asking us to do. So I appreciate the skepticism. They should be skeptical until they see the proof of this. But I absolutely see this, and this is so important for partners to understand, in my view,
Mhm.
because the work of partners will have to be so much more focused on change management
Mhm.
and driving on adoption and working with
Mhm.
customers on this mentality. What does it mean to me in my business, in my industry, my vertical, in this function, for this marketing division? How does life change when we apply AI, when we automate this process, this other process? And that's the work that partners have to get ready to do.
Mhm. I remember back in the early days of the internet and business to business companies and small businesses building websites, what did the internet really do? How did it change the business model? And I think what I've seen as just way more profound is that AI has the ability to actually change business models. It's a fundamental shift in the way we do things. And obviously, I work in the small business sector. I work with a lot of partners who are themselves small businesses. I think you've been at conferences and you've used the stat 75% of the partners in the ecosystem are of a certain size, meaning they're unmanaged because they would be put into the small business category. What does this mean for a small business? I'm curious what you think it means and what you think it's going to mean to partners serving small businesses.
In many ways, I'm the most excited about our SMB segment because our SMB segment tends to be the fastest in adopting change. They have less baggage. There's a smaller legacy.
Right.
Change is easier. Yes, they're more budget conscious. This is going to keep us on our toes, and it's going to be tricky to navigate the changes in business models from a consumption perspective. How much do I need? How much am I consuming? Can I afford it? Yes, we're going to have to go through all of that together. But from adoption, from a business process and adoption, how am I going to do things differently with AI? I trust that we're going to learn from SMBs before we're going to see the big adoption in the enterprise, just because it's kind of easier for them to
Yeah.
embrace change.
Yeah. And I think you'd agree that as as I've been it's funny. I think it always Jeffrey Moore's Crossing the Chasm always seems to apply that you've got your early adopters, you've got the middle adopters, and then you've got the laggards. But I have really felt as I've been out in and about the community that there really is two camps. Like I feel there's those who are embracing it and saying, what can we do differently? How can we offer different services? And then there's other people who are still kind of wait and see. I'm just going to do the next CRM implementation. I'm just dabbling. But we're starting to see the first generation of AI first partners. We're starting to see people putting their stake in the ground saying, I'm moving forward in a completely different way. And what do you think, what do you, if you had to give advice to a partner and they came to you and said, Cecilia, what do I need to do next to make my business really thrive? What would you tell them?
So I would tell them two things. One is start using this internally. I often remind our own teams that our partners are professional services companies. They're
Mhm,
consulting companies themselves.
mhm,
So, what about our time and expense agents? What about our sales agents? I mean, the best way to get used to this is using it. And I
mhm,
think our partners should start by using it. And I think that by using it, they will have a whole world of ideas on how to transform. The
mhm,
second thing that I would say is what I see some of our mid-market partners doing is small customer workshops, small experimentation exercises. Bring a pointy problem that is top of mind for you, and we'll solve it with AI first in mind and see what happens.
mhm,
And the partners that are doing this are generating, honestly, pipeline. They're generating new opportunities. They're also learning together with customers, and they're
mhm.
breaking this fear and skepticism barriers that we may see in some companies.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I want to talk to you about something that I've heard you talk about over the last couple of years at a variety of events, particularly partner events. This is a topic that's so near and dear to my heart. One of my favorite subjects ever, value proposition, differentiation. So I've heard you say, you got to stand out. This is a competitive marketplace. You have to be able to spin your marketing on a dime and get out there and talk to people about why should I choose you as a partner? And I'd love your insight on this topic. Share with us a little bit about why you think this is so important. And again, what are you telling partners about this topic? What do they need to know with respect to value proposition and differentiation?
I have evolved so much in this train of thought because we used to say many years ago, you need to pick an industry, you need to pick a vertical, become an expert in construction, in the legal sector, and that's the only way you're going to differentiate. I no longer say that for a couple of reasons. Of course, vertical is one way, and many of our partners do that. And that's a no-brainer way because you develop a track record on a particular sector, and there is a natural domino effect that happens when you have experience in a particular vertical. But plenty of partners are extremely successful in differentiating by the way they deliver the implementation, the way they sell fixed price, fixed delivery, fixed outcomes, and they differentiate by doing that. They differentiate by a very specific size of customers. Uh, there are many ways to differentiate. They differentiate by being experts on marketing or experts on sales or experts on supply chain. There are many, many different ways to differentiate. The good news in Dynamics 365 is that we have a lot of ground to cover in terms of market share. So it's more about doing a good job for your customers and creating customer success than anything else. Because right now, at this moment where Microsoft is with our innovation around AI, with the fact that we are moving so fast and the market sees this, the customers see it, our analysts are seeing it, are seeing this, the opportunities out there. So if you do a good job with customers, I have no doubt that growth will come. If we were in a situation where demand is weak or we have, 90% market share and it's hard to find new avenues, it would be a different story because the differentiation need would be a lot higher. But right now, you really pick a lane, either lane, the type of projects you deliver, the sector, the vertical, the city, the size of customer, and do a good job for customers. And then I think the rest comes because right now there's just so much demand for Dynamics 365 across all workloads.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I mean, that seems like such a basic business, business advice. Like, just do a good job. Get out there and do a good job. But I also, we've worked with probably over 200 customers, 200 technology firms, some inside Microsoft, some outside Microsoft. And I find, to your point, there's always a way to differentiate yourself. But the bottom line is you have to do the work. And you have to figure out how you're going to differentiate yourself. Because if you just go out there, I mean, how many times have you landed on a partner website and seen, we're experts at Microsoft?
Yeah.
That's not much of a value prop, is it? And, weak messaging or inconsistent messaging. And, just tidy that up. Like, not just do a good job, but just tidy it up into when you say pick a lane, you're absolutely right. Find where your sweet spot is, because it's not just about doing a good job or saying you do certain things. It's about those proof points that have to stand behind it, that you can prove it to be true. And I also find sometimes people have these statements and they haven't provided any proof points. They haven't proven it to be true. And I know that Microsoft, has so many awesome things for partners like win wires and use cases, and being able to dive into that digital marketing center or dive into partner center and take advantage of those things. And I know people can't be good at everything, and if you're a really good technology person, maybe you don't realize the importance of that marketing. But there's so much that Microsoft is offering partners right now. So if you had to pick something that you think a partner should focus on with respect to some of the resources that Microsoft is offering, what would you tell them to focus on? Would it be those use cases, those win wires? What would you say would be a really good use of time and money?
I think one of our best kept secrets is the PMC and DMC, so the marketing campaigns assets and the campaigns that you can run on the partner program website. The partners that actually take advantage of that see a ton of value in using those assets, in running those campaigns. And it's funny because, our partners, also our companies, independent companies, they're also skeptical. But when they give this a chance, they actually find a lot of value. So of all the things that, look, incentives, rebates, all comes automatically with your growth, you're certified, your team, and that accrues to your designation, specialization. So all of that comes. But these marketing assets, whether it's running the campaign or just simply using the on-demand assets, tend to be one of the best kept secrets. And every time I ask a partner if they're using it and they say yes, they're so happy and it
Mhm.
saves them so much work. So I
Mhm.
would point to that. And
That's
also
cool.
one more thing, important, because I think we're moving so fast. We always we're having things to tell partners pretty often now compared to at any time in the past. So I'd say spend, a couple of hours every week getting up to what's new. What have we
Mhm.
announced? What webinar do you
Mhm.
need to take? What, LinkedIn pages. We have a page obviously for Dynamics. We have a page for Business Central if you're on Business Central specifically. So whatever lane you are in terms of our products, spend a couple of hours looking at what's new that we publish, because things are moving very, very fast and we need all partners to stay up to date.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. So we're particularly excited at Marketing Copilot. We have a new product ourselves coming out, Marketing Copilot AI. It's something that we've built, um, and it's really cool because I think the business that we're evolving into as a company is, yeah, sure, we're marketing experts, we understand it, but our future is going to be in building content libraries and offering those content libraries in a way to use them from a marketing perspective and augmenting that through a website. And the reason that we know about that well kept secret of the marketing campaigns is our hope down the road is to be creating a library that partners can use, and so we'll augment that library for their marketing based on the Microsoft content. Because I think sometimes partners struggle with not just keeping up to date, but how to extract it and use it when they don't necessarily have their own marketing department or a sophisticated marketing team to do this. So we're now taking advantage of AI. We're taking advantage of Copilot. We're taking advantage of a bunch of things and saying, I think there's a brand new way to do this. And I'm excited about it because that's come through our last 12 to 18 months of testing. And I have to say, I was a skeptic. I was very skeptical. I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know how we were going to apply it to our business. And your advice to get in and start using it and doing something with it and just seeing how it evolves, because unlike any other tech I've seen in history, the cost of entry can be incredibly low. But once you figure out what you're doing with it, the value you can deliver can be incredibly high. And I think that's the sweet spot right there. And I think that's where partners are going to get a lot of the future. So I think you've kind of given us a bit of a snapshot of where things are heading. Anything specific you want to draw attention to in closing with respect to what partners should be paying attention to?
Obviously, I haven't mentioned agents a lot, and the way automation is going to show up mostly is through these agents that we are going to see grow and grow in number all across Dynamics 365. So let's go back to the role of the partner. Partners are going to have to help our customers adopt those agents with all the change that comes with it. That's number one. Number two, we won't build agents at Microsoft for every single process, every single scenario, and every single industry. So there will be, just like today, there are custom configurations that partners do all the time of our products. The work of tomorrow is those custom agents. So that's the technical skill that every partner needs to develop right now. How do I skill up my teams, my technical teams, to build those custom agents?
Mm-hmm.
And then third, we have plenty of partners in the ecosystem that are in specific industries. They're experts in those industries. Microsoft, again, won't build a ecosystem of agents for legal firms, for architecture firms, for construction firms, partners will. So those industry specific agents, there is the new form of industry IP that we've always talked to for years and years and years. That's another one. So those, for me, are the three avenues of the future that are opened with AI. And I'm hoping partners are all over it.
Yeah. As always, unbelievable advice. Thank you so much, Cecilia. It is always so great to talk to you. I love the advice you provide partners. Thank you so much for being in the hot seat. You've been listening to another episode of The Hot Seat. I'm your host, Marie Weiss. I'm here with Cecilia Flombaum. Thank you so much for being on the show.